Did you know what your major was going to be when you applied to college, or did it change? So for me, to be honest, I've kind of just always known that I wanted to be a teacher. I went in for the orientation before my freshman year. That's at my school. You would go, you'd sleep there for one night, and then you would pick your classes. And then that's when they kind of sprung on me that if you're going to be an education major at Bridgewater, you have to double major. So I had like 2 hours to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And then, I settled on English. But when I think back, like, did I know my senior year that I was also going to major in English? Absolutely not. And since then, obviously, I'm very glad that I did, because now I teach English. I've had some of my poetry published and things like that. So it definitely helped me in ways that I didn't expect before.
For those of you who knew me, I was kind of the guy who played guitar in my grade. So when I left AMSA, I actually went to University of New Haven, and I started a music and sound recording degree. Shortly after, about a year and a half, I figured out that I really didn't like doing that. Music was fun, but the studio stuff wasn't. So it's totally okay if you're like, wow, I know this is what I want to do right now, but then later on you decide, well, maybe I'm not happy doing it. You got to be happy doing it, otherwise you're going to be suffering throughout college. So I switched to a game art degree, which was sort of another passion I dabbled in very lightly. CAD kind of rooted that in me. And now that's like easily one of the best decisions I've made in my entire life is changing schools and degrees.
I went in knowing nothing, knowing not at all what I was going to do. And it was kind of a coincidence that I settled on what I did, because my school had an option for a pre-orientation program for, like, before everybody else got to campus. You could go to campus and you could do something fun. And originally I was going to sign up for like a camping or a water thing, like a boating thing, and it was full by the time I signed up, and I ended up in a theater one, and that's not my major. And that was basically a coincidence. I mean, I liked theater before, but that sort of not only ended up in being my major, but also kind of forming the friend group that also became the executive board of the club that we founded like the next semester. So sometimes things just fall into place and it works, and sometimes it's what you think your career is going to be, and sometimes it's not. But as we were just talking about with AMSA, you learn a lot of things from places you don't expect.
I had absolutely no idea, and so I started off at general studies, and then slowly and surely I spoke with some counselors and whatnot, and they told me to do what you like and find a passion in what you do and make that your major. For me, I'm a huge sports guy, so I ended up majoring in sports management. And while doing sports management, I found that I really like strategic management in sport. So the more you do stuff, you'll figure out what you really like out of it. And so from there, I ended up getting interested with the Red Sox. I moved to Florida for a little bit. Unfortunately, COVID cut that short. But when you find a passion, major in that, figure that out, and then everything will come into place eventually. So not to sound like a broken record, but everybody said, but I would say when you're trying to figure out your major, if you don't know it already, something you like. Just try it out. If you don't like it, go to something else. It's not the end of the world.
All right, I'm gonna do the law student thing by answering the question by not answering the question at all. And that's to say that some of my favorite classes that I took were not major related. And so you can take classes that are outside of your major while you're in college, and I highly encourage you to do that, because for a lot of people, that's your last chance to really learn stuff. And you might not think that you love learning until you're out of school and not learning anything anymore, but really pursuing classes that are just interesting to you, that have nothing to do with what your your required courses for your major are, is a great opportunity to just learn new things. And I took classes, and I think I took a graphic novels class, and I thought it was so interesting, and it actually led me down a path to where I ended up doing a literary translation minor. And so there's just a lot of opportunities out there to learn new things and really broaden your horizons, so take advantage of that.
I did geoscience research here at AMSA with Mr. Teachers who are not here anymore. But I was like big earth sciences, so that's what I ended up going to school to do. I was really excited, thought I was going to be really good at it, thought it was going to be really easy because I'd already done it at AMSA. And then my priority was social, right? Like I didn't care about school at all. Freshman year of college, I was not interested in that. I played sports. I wanted to go out Friday, Saturday. I was hanging out, and I failed my Earth Systems class. So then it was kind of like, okay, well, I don't really like this thing. I don't find it interesting. So I took all the 101 classes the next semester to see what I liked. I ended up on psychology. The main reason I liked psychology was because I liked hanging out with other people. I liked talking to people, conversing with people, getting to know other people. And I really didn't have the interest in the class necessarily. Like, it's a lot of book learning. You're going to spend time in these really boring lectures, and that's the reality of college. But eventually, you get to do something interesting. I think junior, senior year, I was doing really interesting classes. I did my own research on psychology stuff. Then a master's degree, things like that, and ended up obviously doing a master's, and now I do what I love with kids who are mostly your ages, who have made much worse decisions. So I think that the truth is that you don't really need to love what you do, and you might not, but eventually you're going to stumble upon something that you're passionate about, and I think that you've got to give yourself a chance to find it. So
I'd like to kind of almost piggyback off that statement that where you start off doing in your freshman year of college, or where you think you are now, that's probably bound to change. It may change in the form of a career change 20 years down the road, or it might happen halfway through your first semester of freshman year. I know for myself, I started off in mechanical engineering. Here at IMSA, it really prepares you to do well in that. I mean, with even just the name of the school, you know that you're going to do well in some of those classes if you put your time to it. What I found was that I absolutely hated it. I got into the program. I think I was kind of shoehorned a little bit and convinced all my, my peers were all going into different STEM degrees, and I found halfway through my time at school that I wasn't cut out for it. I didn't love it. I didn't want to study it. And I put my time into other things, some that were counterproductive towards my future. I did realize, though, that the two things that I found were that I loved adventure, I loved to travel, and I also had an interest in aviation. Once I decided to make that change and to find a path that worked better for me, I ended up opening a lot of other doors, and it was definitely a challenging time in my life to start something new and something I never thought about. But I realized that following that passion was going to allow me to have the lifestyle that I really liked. And I think, in retrospect, I wish I had focused more on figuring out what kind of life I wanted for myself and what I wanted to do on a day-to-day basis outside of the workplace. I think a lot of people at your age kind of have this preconceived notion that what you do at your job is what defines you, but really it's outside of that. It's who you are as a person. And looking at opportunities in a career field that help develop who you are as an individual, I think is the most important thing that you can do.